Hello, this is Christopher Ruspe. I'm a chartered market technician and a certified financial planner, and this is a video series where I share some of the lessons that I've learned from being a professional investor for over 3 decades. Today we're going to talk about how to be ready for a stock market crash. And before I forget, I'll just ask you to put a like next to this video and subscribe so you don't miss any future contents. We're trying to help 100,000 people who don't have financial planners, so hopefully you'll give us that like. So how can you be ready for a stock market crash? Well, let's talk about a speculative bubble. Speculative bubbles are nothing new. They go back hundreds and hundreds of years, and they basically are caused by human psychology, and we know that human psychology has been around a long time. And speculative bubbles, one thing we know about them is that they last a lot longer than anybody with any common or rational sense would think. And number two, we know that the final days of a speculative bubble are the most profitable. So one of the strategies to try and be ready for a stock market crash is to try and sell early. The problem with that is you're leaving a lot of money on the table by not participating in that speculative bubble during the final stages. So that's one part of being ready for a stock market bubble that doesn't work. Second strategy is to try and pick the exact market top. And of course, you can turn that on its head if you're watching this video in the future and you're trying to identify when there's a good entry point to try and pick the stock market bottom. Well, we know from studying history that that can't be done. There's never been anyone of any of the famous money managers or investors that could regularly pick stock market tops and stock market bottoms. Now, if you get lucky in your career as an investor and you actually pick a stock market top or a stock market bottom, you might think to yourself, that's wonderful, but I'm here to tell you that that actually creates a false sense of confidence and will end up being one of the worst things that happens in the future for you, because you're always going to assume that you were right that one time because of skill, when really you were right because of luck, and that'll cause you to miss out on future opportunities. So selling early doesn't work. Trying to sell at the right exact time doesn't work. Let's talk about selling after the bubble bursts. Well, we have institutions that make up 99% of the trading volume in the stock market, and they all have access to computers that can process transactions faster than you and I can blink our eyes. So you trying to sell after a stock market crash also will not work, because there's no time to even pick up the phone or log into an account. It's happening before you even know it. Even if you're a day trader and you're sitting and looking at the computer screen, processing the data and acting rationally, there's just not enough time. So selling early doesn't work, selling at the right time doesn't work, and selling late doesn't work. So you're probably wondering at this point, Chris, why am I even watching this video? You're telling me how can I be ready for a stock market crash? Well, the lesson that I've learned from 32 years of doing this is that you have to have certain investing principles. And these investing principles are whatever you find works for you. You could be a deep value investor, you could be a momentum investor, you could be a technical analyst, you could combine all three. But it's some sort of approach that you've developed a positive track record with. And the key is to not move away from what works for you during a speculative bubble. In other words, not to start acting irrationally, not to start saying this time it's different, not to basically abandon your own rules of conduct. That is the only way to be prepared for a stock market crash or a stock market bottom that I've found. Now, that's not to say that you're going to pick the top, and it's not to say that you're going to pick the bottom. But what will happen is that if you have rational rules as the speculative bubble matures, nothing rational is going to be happening. And so you're not going to be able to find anything to purchase. And you're going to end up building up a cash balance. And when you do that, and then eventually things start acting rationally again, guess what? You've got a large cash balance that you can deploy in order to be successful when there are some good values out there. So stay true to your investment discipline and stay true to your investment risk tolerance. That's the other part of this. You know, I can tell you when we're going through a speculative bubble because most of my clients are calling me and they're saying, hey, I was thinking about taking more risk. I know I made money last year, but I figure I can make a little bit more. And so they're constantly wanting to increase their risk level at the worst possible time. That's human nature. What you have to do is you have to fight very, very hard against that. And you, in effect, if you could, you'd actually be thinking contrarian to that, which is, everybody else is thinking about increasing risk. I should probably be thinking about decreasing risk. But as we talked about earlier, that could mean that you're out of the market early. But the number one thing is just don't lose sight of your appropriate risk level. Stick with it even when you likely could have made more money. And when the bubble pops, you will be in a good position to capitalize on things that go on sale. The only way for you to be able to capitalize on a market that's undervalued and that things have come down is if you have something to sell. And that usually is going to be cash or very low risk investments. So you have to have some dry tinder in order to start that next fire. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Number one, you can't sell early. Number two, you can't pick the turning point. Number three, you can't sell after the top. And the only way for you to truly be ready is to stay true to your investing fundamentals and your investing risk tolerance. So this is Chris Rusby. I'm signing off now. I hope this was helpful to you. Please send it on to your friends. And let's try and budge the needle by helping as many people as possible. I wish you a happy day, a healthy day, and a successful day. Take care.